Hi, I'm Deeptika Laurent, and this is Eye on Africa. These are the headlines. Hundreds of thousands of Gambians have cast their vote despite a major communication blackout. No telephone, no internet. Longtime President Yahya Jammeh is being challenged by Adama Barrow, who has campaigned on the promise of change. Today is World AIDS Day. It's a chance to look at the progress being made in combating, preventing, and raising awareness about the disease. Peter Gies from UNAIDS talks to us. And Senegal loses a pioneer of the art world. Usman So, known for his sculptures of Nubian wrestlers, has passed away in Dakar. He was 81. Now, hundreds of thousands of Gambians have cast their vote to choose their next leader today. This under a total communication blackout. There was no internet access, telephone lines were cut, and all demonstrations have been banned. President Yahya Jammeh is facing off against Adama Barrow, a 51-year-old businessman who has campaigned on a promise of change. Now, according to a UN report from 2013, 60% of Gambians live in poverty. Young people, in particular, are suffering. They're literate, motivated, and tech-savvy, but faced with a lack of jobs, they're leaving the country en masse. Our correspondents Sarah Sacco and Emmanuel Lande report from outside the capital.
Here on the outskirts of the capital Banjul, in the dusty suburb of Kombo North District, the local football team says a final prayer before its game. The group is made up of 25 young men, but struggles to maintain its lineup. The players regularly take the back way, as they say in the Gambia, the way to illegal migration.
We have lost most of our players. The boys now, anywhere, at any time, they are always on preparation. They always caught us by surprise. So when they leave, we have no other option other than to pray for them.
Sang Paul is the team's latest captain. The one before him made his way to Europe.
There aren't many jobs. In fact, you could say there are no jobs at all. Even those who have jobs have no money. If I had money, I would leave. Yes, I would definitely leave.
Yeah.
In the Gambia, the back way or illegal migration doesn't just impact the football teams. In the same neighbourhood, the Darbo family is struggling to get by on Yahya's teacher's salary. 2 years ago, his younger brother attempted the journey.
Unfortunately, he just passed away through this back way. And still, the family still regrets the vacuum he left. He went out to search for greener pasture for the family. Unfortunately, that's how it happens.
In 2015, according to the International Organization for Migration, Gambians were amongst the top 5 nationalities recorded in Italy. Ranked by population, the Gambia even takes top place, something the opposition blames on the mismanagement of the country by Yahya Jammeh, in power for 22 years.
December the 1st marks World AIDS Day. It's a day to take stock of the progress being made in fighting the disease. Now, in the past 5 years, deaths have fallen by 45%, and more people than ever before, 18 million people, now have access to treatment. But Sub-Saharan Africa remains the most affected part of the world. 26 million people there are living with HIV/AIDS. To talk more about this, Peter Gies, the Director of Strategic Information and Evaluation from UNAIDS, tells us more.
It is true that testing is one of the major challenges, and it is, of course, closely related to having access to treatment, as you mentioned earlier. A very large number of people now have access to treatment. We estimate about 18 million people. Of those, more than 12 million actually live in Sub-Saharan Africa. And so as we look at the steps that are needed for people to come into treatment and to have their viral load suppressed, the first step in that is actually having a diagnosis, and diagnosis can only happen if there is testing of the right parts of the population. And so that is indeed the step that is where most effort is needed.
Now, in your report today, you said that young women in Sub-Saharan Africa are particularly vulnerable in contracting HIV. Why is that, and what is being done to fight that?
It is true because young women in Sub-Saharan Africa specifically, they face a triple threat First is that they are at a high risk of acquiring HIV. Next is that they have low levels of testing and also of awareness of their status for those women who are living with HIV. In fact, we see that for women that are between 15 and 19 years old, only about 50% of them who live with HIV know that they are living with HIV, while that proportion is much higher for other age groups. It is between 70 and 80%. And then thirdly, also, still for young women, is that since some of these women are just coming out of childhood and are going through adolescence, being adherent to treatment is also a challenge for this population.
That was Peter Gies from UNAID. Now the stage is being set in South Sudan for a repeat of the Rwandan genocide. This warning from Yasmin Suka, the head of the UN Commission of Human Rights. She was speaking after a 10-day visit to South Sudan. Suka said ethnic cleansing is taking place in some parts of the country, including starvation, gang rape, and the burning of villages. South Sudan became independent just 5 years ago, but since then has been torn apart from ethnic violence. More than 1 million people have fled their homes. Let's listen to Yasmin Suka.
Any sense of national identity is crumbling, and tribal or ethnic identity is taking over. Given that this country is home to 64 tribes, this offers a multitude of fault lines along which this nation can fracture. I repeatedly heard of the desire for revenge and a process of concentrating people from one tribe in the army and civil service. Coupled with that is the fact that forced and child recruitment is being conducted by all parties to the conflict.
Nigerian activist Nnamdi Kanu will have to stay in prison. A federal high court has refused his bail application. Kanu is the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He was arrested last October. His arrest triggered a wave of violent protests around the country. The Nigerian government accuses him of treason, this for leading the movement for an independent Biafran state. Finally, Senegal is mourning the death of a pioneer artist. World-renowned sculptor Usman So has passed away at the age of 81 in Dakar. His works celebrated African tribes and historical icons like Nelson Mandela, and his works were exhibited all over the world. Usman So, originally trained as a physical therapist, he only became an artist at the age of 50. Laurent Berstecker has this report.
Admitted to France's prestigious Fine Arts Academy in 2013, Usman So dedicated his achievements to Africa and its diaspora. The sculptor, who spent his life between Senegal and France, always carried a deep fascination for his home continent. His best-known works, representing Maasai, Zulu, and Fulani tribes, were modeled from the same clay traditionally used by African potters. In Dakar, where So was born, residents are mourning the loss of one of the most influential African artists of his generation.
Ousmane was like a grandfather, a father to all Senegalese artists. His vision and his approach to art pushed him onto the international stage. He's universal.
He's dead, but he will live on. He lives on through his works.
Usman So's series of muscular African warriors were widely exhibited in France. A 1999 retrospective on Paris's Pont des Arts attracted around 3 million visitors. These proud and powerful bodies challenged Western perceptions of African culture. They were also bound by a common theme, one that fascinated the Senegalese artists: the eternal struggle of the weak against the strong.
And that's it for this show. Thanks for watching Eye on Africa. Stay tuned for more news coming up.